Hey there and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. Come along with our triumvirate of terror as we descend into darkness, hurtle into horror, and plunge into peril. If you've ever thought your neighbor was a vampire, you're in the right place. I'm Justin, and my blood tastes best under the pale moonlight.
I'm Nico, and if I was a vampire, I definitely wouldn't move into a high school neighborhood.
What's a high school neighborhood?
A neighborhood that's next to a high school, you stupid fuck.
Is his thing next to, well, we'll talk more about that, but I don't think he's next to the high school. He drives his car there.
I mean, I don't know the fucking Google Maps for this fictional ass town.
I'm saying you already getting off on the wrong foot, bro.
You already getting off on the wrong foot. How do you not put one word as an adjective next to one word being the noun? Come on,
I think every neighborhood is a high school neighborhood.
Oh, yeah? Not in every...
Dan?
Well, I'm Dan, and these two had the gall to call and the audacity to call me a peasant after that argument.
Indeed. And if you didn't know already, we're talking about Fright Night, the 1985 one. So, this was directed by Tom Holland, starring Chris Sarandon as Jerry, Roddy McDowall as Peter Vincent, William Ragsdale as Charlie, Stephen Jeffries as Evil Ed, Amanda Beers as Amy, and Jonathan Stark as Billy. We open with local high schooler Charlie Brewster and his girlfriend Amy. The two are enjoying a romantic moment together while watching Charlie's favorite show, Fright Night, hosted by the legendary actor Peter Vincent, who coincidentally pretty much stars in all these flicks. The show is essentially nonstop vampire movies, and just as Charlie is about to get it in with Amy, he gets distracted by two men carrying a coffin into the vacant house next door.
Two men in their wood.
According to Charlie's mom, some new neighbors have just moved in. Well, oh my God.
This sounds like a setup for a much different movie.
Who I'm going to just talk to about neighbors and neighborhoods, but Nico. So go ahead, Nico.
Ay. So the following day at school, Amy is still pissed at Charlie. So he goes and hangs out with his friend Ed instead, who is better known as Evil. After school, Charlie has a brief conversation with a beautiful woman who heads into the house next door. The following day, Charlie sees on the news that that very same woman was found murdered. And he begins to suspect his neighbor, since, she was in that house. That night, he looks through his bedroom window and sees his neighbor, Jerry Dandridge, with another beautiful woman. And more importantly, Jerry then sprouts fangs.
Well, Dan, I know you've sprouted a fang or two in your day. What happens next?
Well, Charlie sees Jerry and Billy, who's Jerry's roommate, carry out a very human-shaped garbage bag. He goes to the police the following day, but without any proof, they don't believe him, especially with Charlie letting it slip that he thinks Jerry is a vampire. That night, however, Jerry visits Charlie, showing his true vampire colors and almost killing Charlie. Frantic, Charlie turns to Amy and Evil, but neither believes him. As a last resort, he goes to meet his hero, Peter Vincent.
All right, Nico, you wouldn't know shit about being a hero, but why don't you tell me this next piece?
I can be your hero, baby.
It's okay, because I'm always your villain, Justin. Unfortunately for Charlie, Peter Vincent thinks that he's absolutely crazy, and he wants nothing to do with the kid. Amy and Evil are both concerned for Charlie, though. Well, mostly Amy. Evil's kind of a fuck. But the pair pay Peter Vincent to do a fake vampire test type deal to convince Charlie that Jerry is not, in fact, a vampire. So everyone then heads over to Jerry's place, and they administer some fake holy water over to Jerry. Obviously, nothing happens to Jerry, but as the group gets ready to leave, Peter Vincent realizes that Jerry doesn't cast a reflection in his mirror, and that he really is a vampire. So he promptly gets the fuck out of there and flees home.
Afterwards, Evil and Charlie head home with Amy, and Evil goes down an alleyway by himself because he ain't no chicken shit. He is, however, attacked by Jerry and turned into a vampire.
Right.
Don't know what the moral is there. From there, though, Jerry attacks Charlie and Amy, and he even manages to entrance Amy in a dance club and kidnap her. He tells Charlie to bring Peter Vincent to his house, or else. While all that is going on, Evil, who's now been vampirized, attacks Peter Vincent. But Peter manages to repel him with the Holy Cross.
Amen.
Thank you.
That's right. Nico, you ain't got no Holy Cross, but what happens next?
Charlie rushes over to Peter Vincent's place, but the legendary vampire slayer is being a chicken shit and he won't help him. Charlie decides to go it alone at this rate, but then Peter Vincent actually does show up and the pair enter the vampire's mansion. Things don't go so hot though, and Charlie gets knocked the fuck out, while Peter Vincent, again, runs away. Charlie, at this point, wakes up locked in a room with Amy, who has been bitten and mysteriously has more hair now, and she's now turning into a vampire. Meanwhile, Peter Vincent flees, only to be attacked by Evil once again. But this time, Peter kills Evil by staking him. And I'm not talking T-Bone. He gathers himself and then returns to the vampire's mansion once more for the final battle.
All right, Vampire Slayer Dan, finish this one off. How's it end?
So Peter Vincent frees Charlie and tells him that if they can kill Jerry by morning, Amy won't turn into a full vampire. The pair kill Billy, who is actually some kind of zombie ghoul thing, and then hunt Jerry. Together they fight Jerry until the sun begins to rise and Jerry flees to the basement. Charlie and Peter pursue Jerry, and Peter stakes him while Charlie fights off Amy, who is like 99% vampire at this point. Jerry survives being staked, but Peter and Charlie bust open some windows, letting in the sunlight, which kills Jerry once and for all. The movie ends with Charlie and Amy enjoying another romantic moment watching Fright Night, when Charlie catches a glimpse of red eyes in his neighbor's house, which this time he ignores. The credits begin to roll as the audience hears Evil laugh, "Ha ha ha, you're so cool, Brewster." The end.
And with that, let's dive straight into it. So, Nico, what's the sound like in this movie?
The sound is, I think, a lot less involved than you would expect for a movie from the mid-'80s. There's not, like, a ton of super deep synth sounds or anything. There's your alliteration for the day. But what we do have is really good. I like the way that a lot of the almost Jaws-like sort of synth stabs kind of punctuate the bad moments and really just gives more space for the actors to do their thing. So, I'm a fan.
For me personally, I thought the music was like 90s sex scene sounding almost. Like, I don't know, man. The guitar just made me think of like a porno the whole time.
I actually thought that song kicked ass, man. I actually enjoyed that one.
I also thought that song kicked ass.
Wait, which one are we talking about here?
Yeah, like the one when he's like trying to get it in with Amy at the club or whatever. And like there's like two or three like romance things with Jerry, and like that song I thought was actually kind of cool.
Listen, I don't deny that, but my mind immediately went there to that special place. So that's what I think as far as that goes. And then I guess dialogue would go here as well. Evil is such a tool.
I fucking hate Evil, man.
But I can't help but like him. You're so cool, Brewster. Or like, I don't know. He reminds me of a kid I used to know growing up, and it's nostalgic. Dan, what's your take on the sound?
So I don't really have too much to add. I agree with Nico and Justin. The one thing I'll add is I think Jerry is the least vampire sounding name ever.
Yeah, for real.
Like, I can't stop thinking of just like Jerry from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
What's with these vampires sucking people's blood?
Like, I don't know. He just sounds like some New Jersey vampire or some shit. I don't know.
Just some random schmuck. In the long histories of vampires and other blood-sucking deities, we have the classics, Alucard, Dracula, in many iterations, Van Helsing. And Jerry's here too.
I feel obliged to tell you that Van Helsing is never a vampire, but...
Yeah, I kind of fucked that one up at the end, but yeah, thanks for drawing attention to it.
Absolutely. You should have gone with Carmilla, supposed fake feminist.
Yeah, just didn't quite get there in time.
Either way, Dan, how's this movie look?
So I thought it looked pretty cool. I really liked Jerry's like half vampire kind of look. Like when he was not totally human, but not totally a vampire, that sort of in between. I thought it was really cool how they like extended his fingers.
Yeah.
So they made his fingers like abnormally long and then with like pointy fingernails and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was an interesting choice when he was in full vampire form. He was ugly as shit. And I thought that was a really interesting choice because usually vampires, I mean, obviously his human form was very, handsome and sort of that classic vampire look.
Chris Sarandon could get it.
Yeah, absolutely. But usually vampires in their vampire form are also pretty regal or whatever looking. So it was an interesting choice to me to kind of make them really hideous looking. But the effects were pretty cool. I mean, it's sort of classic 80s. It's not quite like over the top gore in this one, but the practical effects and things were just very 80s.
Agreed. And Dan, you mentioned Jerry's half human, half vampire transformation, but I want to give a special shout out as well to Evil's.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
When he goes half wolf, half human, and he's trying to pull out the stake that's inside of him.
Yeah, that was visceral.
It's kind of a brutal scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see Evil's transformation from wolf back to human because you see him at like different stages of that. There's probably like 4 or 5 different blends of human and wolf, and that was really, really cool.
I think that's the thing I'm the most impressed with this film. Like, there's a lot of transition shots, and with the practical effects, oftentimes you don't get that many. It's usually just like maybe an in-between and then the final form. But in this, for both Evil and Jerry, we get like multiple sort of like percentiles of vampirism for both of their characters, and I just think it's really cool that they showed that, and they did so well with the like actual practical effects. IMO.
Right. And actually, Nico, I want to dive deeper into what you're talking about here, which is the vampiric lore and portrayal. And I agree with you. One thing for certain that they did was they made sure that they referenced earlier on in the movies, hey, vampires can take multiple forms. It's not just the humanoid looking one. And they actually showed it, which is awesome because not a lot of vampire movies do that. But Dan, what other aspects of vampire lore and just general portrayals are there in this that you liked or didn't like?
Well, I did like the wolf part too, because I mean, playing off what you said, multiple forms. I feel like, vampire human is pretty common. Bat is also extremely common. But wolf, I think, is sometimes oftentimes looked over. So I thought that was kind of cool. But I also thought it was interesting that, they have the cross and, the cross-earth vampires, but only if you have faith, which I thought was a cool, don't want to quite call it a twist, but addition, maybe. It's not just any cross, but like you have to actually believe that it will work in order for it to work.
I want to go back to that really quick, the having faith thing, because one thing that I didn't quite understand, or not understand, but one thing that I was a little frustrated with was we got the scene where Peter Vincent rebukes Evil, and then he goes over to Jerry's house and suddenly he doesn't have faith. Like, he just did it. Why would he not?
I would explain that as the difference between not even a real vampire yet, because keep in mind, Evil had just been bitten. So he was an extremely, extremely weak vampire at that point.
I mean, yeah, sure. But you still believe in what you're doing, right?
Well, I think it's because Evil is weaker, like way lower level than someone on Jerry's level. So I think he just didn't meet the requisite faith to fight Jerry back.
I think that's a little contrived, but also in terms of like, movie making cinematography, like the heroes have to undergo trials and tribulations. Like, yeah, I get it, but I just feel like that should have just been an easier win from my perspective.
Well, I mean, Jerry is older and way stronger, so it makes sense that you would have to have some real true faith, because that's shown in actually a couple different vampiric things where like things that work on weaker or lesser vampires don't always work or work to a lesser effect on the more major ones. I think one of the biggest examples of that is literally in the actual Dracula novel. Like, compare how easy it is to take out Lucy to Dracula. Like, it's not even a contest.
Yeah,
and
true.
Ed is like even weaker than Lucy.
I guess what I'm saying is just get good, scrub.
And you know what? His faith is not even necessarily that solid, because what made him believe was the sun rising. That's what gave him the belief to rebuke Jerry at the end there.
Well, no, it was seeing through the mirrors what made him believe.
Well, the sun was rising and he felt like really good about it. And he was like, oh,
I feel like that's not belief, that's more relief. Because you don't believe the sun rises, the sun just rises.
no, no, no. But I mean, it gave him belief that it would work. I
Oh.
think that's,
Eh.
I think like fear eats away at that because I don't think that what's his face?
Evil.
I don't think that Charlie
Oh.
is the biggest, like Christian believer or anything like that. But I think he places faith that the cross will work.
I took faith not to mean like religiosity, but like, self-assuredness.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I believe exactly that.
Yeah, okay.
And I think Peter Vincent lacks that for 90% of this movie. Dan, what was your general thought on the fact that they stayed true to the vampire has to be invited inside by the real owner of a house?
I like that. I always like that when movies keep that because it's nice to see how vampires work around that. And the real owner of the house part was also kind of similar to the cross. I wouldn't quite say a twist to it, but like an addition or something, at least more than what I'm familiar with. But, it's not just be invited in by anybody, it's be invited in by the person who owns the place. And I mean, of course, as soon as he says that, you're like, you as the viewer, are like, okay, yeah, the mom's going to invite him in. And 30 seconds later, she does. So it's no surprise, but I liked it.
Indeed. Now, I also was thinking about this a little bit, but Nico, do you think that maybe Jerry's got a little bit of a vampiric glamour, for lack of a better word, going on? Because he seems to be able to entrance people, namely women, whenever he wants to. And I thought that was interesting because it's subtle sometimes, but other times it's like really out in the open that women just straight up can't resist him. And it's more than just he's attractive thing. It's like they really can't resist him. Even when Amy was super duper scared of him, she still couldn't resist like walking out to him. What was your thoughts on the glamour aspect?
Yeah, he was really min-maxing his Rizzler stat.
Okay. Do you think he was doing like Jaws-size so he'd just have like the straight Chad jawline and everything?
He put in his AirPods and put on a marathon skibbity toilet compilation while he was just at the gym mewing constantly.
All right, you can't talk for 30 seconds. Dan,
Understandable.
tell me this. There's a little subplot that's woven in here. We see a picture in Jerry's house that looks exactly like Amy. And even Billy remarks, hey, this is exactly like her. And there's this whole ancient love thing. We've seen a story like this similar in like the great vampire works. Again, Dracula, Twilight. What do you think of this ancient love kind of story?
I mean, in general, I like that story because it gives vampires sort of a weakness, and not a physical weakness, but like a romantic weakness. I don't know, because something could happen to that woman or, whatever. And it's a cool narrative device, but I don't like how it played out in this movie because I don't think it really matters. Okay, he's a little bit more attracted to her, wants to turn her into a vampire, maybe slightly more than normal. But once she's a vampire, he's just like, he doesn't give a shit. He's just like, okay, cool. I'm going to trap Charlie in a room with her and hope he doesn't kill her. It doesn't seem like he actually really cares. So it's this weird, like half and half of like, I thought he was going to like really go after her and make her like vampire, well, not queen, but like his woman, like for real,
His
and he just
concubine.
doesn't.
Hey, yo,
Yeah.
Nico, you about to catch a next yellow card and be silent for 30 more seconds.
30 more seconds.
But
right.
before you do that, let me ask you this. How'd you feel about the ancient love aspect?
It's a familiar trope in vampire fiction, so it's one that I bought. The only hang up that I have is like, I forget if they named how old he was supposed to be in his human form or whatever, but the whole like probably late 30s, early 40s man dancing with a high schooler at a club is a little suspect.
To be fair, though, that does get him kicked out of the club.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I don't know. It feels weird that they were even still included in the film. Like, I would have rather just had them dance in, like, the same alleyway that he took down Evil in. I think that would have been more fitting.
I mean, all I could say is
I mean, hey,
Jerry gets a yellow card for that too.
This is why I wouldn't
Possibly
move
red.
in to a high school neighborhood.
also, why the fuck does Jerry? I mean, I understand Jerry has a roommate, like, because the roommate's like a ghoul or kind of thing, but I feel like that's kind of lame, bro. This like powerful vampire lives with a fucking roommate.
Hey man, rent is unreasonable these days. But not in 1985, so they can get fucked, I guess.
I know they both could have afforded like a mansion, bro, working at McDonald's. But
Yeah.
my question is, funny you mentioned Billy, Dan. How'd you feel about Billy's portrayal? Because I will tell you, the first time I saw, by the way, was this the first time for either one of you watching this movie?
Yeah.
Not for me, no. I've seen this a bunch.
Okay, Dan, did you suspect that Billy was a monster of some variety, or did you think he was a thrall, or what'd you think about him?
I figured he was a thrall, and I kind of didn't really consider him like a ghoul monster thing. The way I look at him is he is a thrall, but thralls in this movie are just a little more ghoul-like, a little more powerful kind of thing.
Got you. And I guess to wrap up, because this is the main talking point here, Jerry Dandridge, I want to talk real quick about him as a modern vampire, because nowadays we basically get two type of vampire movies in modern day. They're either like 30 Days of Night, they're really monstrous and they tear people down, or more often than not, they're like True Blood, Twilight-ish kind of vampires where they're just like uber sexy and they're like really focused on that side of things. And I want to know, how does Jerry like really measure as a modern vampire? Do you think someone like him would really be able to fit into society or what?
Easily. I feel like he occupies both ends of the spectrum equally. And I don't even mean that as a cop-out. Like, we see him both as this sort of lady killer predator, a very suave man, and also as something that you would fight in a cave in Final Fantasy. Like, he looks both parts, attractive and debonair, as well as monstrous and predatory. I think he would fit in just fine.
I agree 1,000%, Nico. And Jerry Dandridge is actually probably one of my favorite portrayals of a quote unquote modern vampire, because I think that's what a vampire would actually be like. Jerry doesn't really take great pains to like appear different from everyone else. Like when he walks up in the club, he looks just like a regular ass dude. Like you wouldn't suspect, oh, he's a vampire. Like sure, he gets girls, but like he's just a regular ass dude. Dan, do you agree with what Nico said at all?
I agree 1,000,000%. I also really liked his portrayal, and I like his attitude. Like there's a couple times that this happens, but the one that sticks out to me is I think it's when Evil walks down the alleyway, like when he first goes down the alley, Jerry like shows up and the camera is right behind Jerry, and Jerry just kind of like glances back at the camera, almost like kind of breaking the fourth wall, almost kind of like, yeah, that's right, I'm here, it's me, I'm him, kind of thing. Like I don't know, it was kind of cool, this sort of like cool but flippant attitude almost. And he does stuff like that a few times throughout the movie, and I thought it was very fitting for his character, and I really liked that.
Can I also say that Jerry and Billy, their first time they met eyes, they had eye contact for a solid like 2 minutes while that shit was going on. Like, he maintained that shit.
I don't know if they were ever trying to hint at this or what, but one of the mom's first comments is like, oh, he lives with the dude, he must be gay. And then Charlie's like, nah, actually not, bro. And I wonder if maybe in particular that moment, audiences back in the 80s would have made that connection just based off of that alone.
Probably.
Yeah. It crossed my mind for a moment too.
Now, we've talked about a lot of different elements of vampires in this movie. Now, I want to ask, but who was your favorite character and what was your favorite moment?
So my least favorite character was Evil. I can't fucking stand this guy. He's like
Hey, I didn't
number
ask you
2
that.
right under TJ Miller for me. Like, anytime
Hey,
he's on
hey.
screen, I just want terrible things to happen to him.
What is
He's
your
annoying
problem?
to look at, and I can't stand his fucking voice.
Oh my
But
god.
my favorite character is our vampire that we've already lauded tons of praise towards. He was my favorite part of the movie, for sure.
And moment?
My favorite moment, I think, is just the first time that he's in Billy's house, or not Billy, Charlie's house. It's just, what a fucking power move to be like, hey, yo, I'm gonna fuck and or kill your mom in your house. What's good? Because that's the energy
wrong
he
with
was
you?
giving off.
All right, Nico,
Yeah.
that's about to be another yellow card for you.
Am I wrong?
How many yellow cards do we allow here?
I don't know.
Isn't it 3 gets you a red?
2.
Oh, bro, I'm already at a red card.
You keep this up, we're subbing in Bonner. Dan,
Okay.
favorite character and favorite scene.
So my favorite character, like Nico, is Jerry. I really liked his portrayal. I think he was perfect for the role. But my runner-up is going to be Evil. I actually really like him quite a bit for the exact reasons that Nico hates him. He's really stupid. His voice is annoying. But especially when he turns vampire, I think that his character is perfect for like vampire crazy dude. I don't
It
know.
totally
I don't know how to
is.
describe it, but it worked really well. I thought he was hilarious because he was annoying and a little shit. But yeah, I mean, Jerry just stole the show. My favorite moment, I think, would have to be, Justin had mentioned this before we talked about it, but when Evil gets staked and is going through that sort of transformation, dying kind of thing, that was just really, really cool.
My runner-up was also Evil, Dan, for literally every reason you and Nico mentioned.
That tracks.
But my favorite character was Peter Vincent, the Vampire Slayer. And the reason why I like him so much is because, first off, he is a clear reference to the old Hammer horror movies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he also is like very much afraid. And he's not just afraid, but like he actually uses this. We didn't talk about it, but like his show has declining ratings. He ends up getting fired at one point, and his life is shit, but he remembers the vampire movies fondly. Like he wants those. He remembers those. And then now he has an opportunity to fight real vampires, but he's afraid and he doesn't even know how to handle being afraid. And then at the very end, he realizes that I love the trope of turning a lie into reality. And him being a vampire hunter was a lie. He was just an actor. He's a sham. He's not a real vampire hunter. But he makes that real. And because he made that real, that, I don't know, meant a lot to me. I like that a lot. And my favorite scene is when Billy's coming up the stairs and then all of a sudden he just pulls the gun and he's like, yo, don't come any closer or I'll shoot. And then he just caps him in the head. And I was like, oh my God, that's brutal. Because I was like, if he was a person, like he would have been done. Like, yeah, he was a ghoul and got back up, but Jesus, man. So I really, really, really liked it. And once he got his stuff together, I thought he was awesome.
Hey, yo, Just, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Since you like Peter Vincent,
Mhm.
how the fuck did he get his show back?
I'll explain that actually.
Oh, yeah? Please enlighten me.
So it's actually in an extended scene that you see if you have the Blu-ray. So I have the Blu-ray. And in the extended cut, he basically goes back to the studio and he presents them with a new idea that's not just based on him, but like based on just more horror and scary topics in general, because people are more open to alien-based horror movies and stuff.
Yes,
they give
I
him back his
totally
job.
believe that explanation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not off the dome or anything.
That's right. And dear listener, if you don't believe me, go check the extended cut and get back to me.
So you know why Justin really loves the trope of a lie becoming reality? Because all this man does is lie. Fucking troll.
Anyways, time for the what would you do? And for this one, we're going to eliminate Amy. She doesn't exist anymore. So it's
All
the
right.
three of us.
Damn.
And, well, I guess Evil doesn't either, to be fair. Or your boy Charlie.
Or anybody in this
Half
movie,
the
because
cast
we are
is
them.
gone.
So we are the high schoolers now, and I'll ask you this. First and foremost, which one of us is more likely to have the vampire as a neighbor? Basically be kind of Charlie.
Not me.
Because I personally feel like it would have to be Nico.
Why though?
And the reason why I say this is because Charlie is a bit of a tool.
Oh, okay.
Wow, pew, 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 pew.
Shots fired.
Damn.
But I will say that, like, there's a moment in the beginning where, you know, Amy's like taking off her clothes and getting ready to like have sex with Charlie. And then he's like, hang on. I got to look at this other shit right fast first. And I'm like, I could kind of sort of see Nico doing that.
No.
That's you.
No, that's
you.
you.
You're
Million
the
percent.
one who
Oh my God.
has
no.
confirmed on this podcast
Multiple
that
times.
you text, and you will answer texts and do things during coitus. Just putting that out there.
I keep my core business hours.
Shut the fuck up. What is wrong with you?
Also, I guess this is a tie between you and me, but when you and I lived together, Justin, we had some
my God.
weird ass neighbors, bro.
Some weird ass neighbors,
So
bro.
I definitely would believe that one of them would have been a vampire or some shit.
I will say, you're right. I'm probably Charlie. In which case, who would I go to for help learning vampiric lore? Would it be Nico or Dan?
No.
I think it'd be Nico.
Yeah, Nico's a little more learned, a little more
Yeah.
wizened.
I feel like you would go straight to the Peter Vincent of this world if there was one.
Ed and Lorraine Warren won't help you here.
For real.
No, they won't. Now, lastly, if there was a vampire and, you know, I was like, hey guys, I need your help to take out this vampire, and it was confirmed that it was an actual vampire,
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Dandridge, how would you take out Jerry in this movie?
Molotov cocktail.
That's not going to kill a vampire.
It's gonna hurt him a hell of a lot.
Probably hurt him for sure.
And then I'm gonna leave one of you. I'm gonna press R1, do the assist, and one of you
Oh
two
my
pop
God.
in.
All right, Dan, Nico's Molotov the vampire. What are you doing?
We got to keep our super combo going, Dan.
Okay, so he's already been Molotov'd.
Yeah.
I feel like I would just like get a gun, fill it with like, I don't know, pieces of wood and just shoot him with like little
You're gonna use the wooden
stakes.
gun that they used on Magneto from X-Men.
Yeah, that, yes.
Bro.
All right. Wait, tag me in, Dan.
Top R1.
All right. Listen. So here's what I'm going to say I'm going to do.
Oh no.
And then after he's already been like stabbed up and everything, I'm going to reach back in my back pocket because I was carrying a clove of garlic this whole time.
Just the one.
I'm going to grab my cutlass and then I'm going to chop out his head. And then I'm going to take the garlic, right? And you can take the garlic and like peel it apart.
Yeah. Peel garlic while all this is going on.
Well, no, you got to like open it up, right? And you can shake it up so that, you know, like the little skin comes off,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
And then you could do that. And then once I do that, then I like slowly dice and I bust out my salt because I like dice it up into
Garlic
like,
salt.
10 pieces, right?
Okay.
And then
Okay.
We're both having our personal apocalypse. This man's chefing it up in the corner.
That's something that Nico would do.
and then once I
Real?
do that, I would put the sauce or whatever onto one big
Roti.
wooden kind of
Yo, Dan, we're
spoon.
both dead, just so you know.
Yeah.
I already chopped off the vampire's head. He's done. And then
I thought all of this
Oh,
was
so
going to
you're
go
just
in the
stuck now.
vampire. You just brought garlic to flex? Be like, I'm going to make some fucking chimichurri after this on the spot, my guy?
And then I stuffed the head with the garlic paste I've just made because according to real authentic lore, that's how you stop the vampire from coming back.
Right, garlic paste,
Steak
not
through the
stuffing
heart?
like an entire head of garlic or multiple heads.
Well, that's why like the puree is more potent.
Because it's puree garlic.
Yeah. Yeah,
No additives, no fillers.
exactly.
Press
puree.
X to doubt.
All right. Well, while you're pressing X, I'm going to press O and go straight to the Rotten Tomato to determine what this movie has, you hoe.
You also could have said Nico.
Well, actually, that was next. Nico,
Oh,
what do
okay.
you think this movie has?
It came out in 1985. I'm going to guess 85.
Wow.
Dan, where you at?
I was going to guess 85, so I guess I'll have to say 86.
2 weeks in a row. Dan has been trolled hard here. This has an 83.
Fuck, if I went the other way. God damn it.
From critics. The audience score is a 76. I want to ask you, though, what's your real thought process on this one? What should it truly have?
So I'll go first. I love this movie. It's a ton of fun. This is one of the horror movies that I watch before I even really liked horror movies. Like, I remember watching this at your house, Justin, a long fucking time ago, back when you lived in the first spot. And like ever since then, it's just like come on a bunch of times. And whenever it is, I always let it run till the end, just because it's a good fucking movie. It's got great portrayal of vampires. The cast is really fun. The only real weak spot, I think, is maybe our lead. He's kind of just milquetoast, but that's fine with the rest of the cast being as good as they are. The only like real problems I have are the aforementioned sort of like age gap, and also what I mentioned in our plot synopsis. How the fuck does this girl suddenly just like get extensions? Like, why is this a thing that happens in her transformation? But I'm gonna give this an 89.
Well, Nico's right. First off, that being a vampire just makes you hotter, I guess. I don't know. And also, he's also right. I think the age gap thing is meant to kind of make you feel uncomfortable a little bit.
It probably
like
is.
I know that the person playing Amy was in her 20s at the time, but I think they purposely dressed her up to make her look younger and everything, and her voice too. And I liked her voice way better as a vampire. Can I just say that?
Yeah.
And yeah, but I think he's also evil and bad.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, so I think they maybe wanted to make him not super sympathetic and have him do something like that. But like Nico said, I love this movie. I love this movie. This is one of my go-tos for my Halloween Spooktacular. Fright Night's always on the list. This was another one of those horror movies that I watched with my moms back in the day, and it's just mad fun. It's a 90 for me.
I echo pretty much everything what they said. I really, really like this movie. It was a ton of fun. 89 for me.
All right. With that being said, we going to recommend this one?
Wholeheartedly.
Yep. Golden Seal?
I think so.
I would say so.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Oh! Oh!
That's the Golden Seal sound.
That's the Golden Seal sound. It just happened just like that.
Bro, you just macadamia nutted on this podcast.
Okay, whoa there. Whoa
Right.
there.
Now that might be a red card.
That's a red card.
It's enough yellows.
Nico can't talk for a minute now. So, if you like what you've heard, that last line aside, hit us up. We're on social media. We're on X and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook. That's Don't Open That Door. But don't count on Nico to reply to you because he's got a red card. It'll be me or Dan probably. And yeah, just let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you think. And if you like what we've said, or if you don't like what we've said, see this like reverse psychology, give us a share, give us a follow, tell someone about us. It definitely helps us to spread our wings here. But yeah, so till then, dear listener, be kind to one another, as always. Keep your eye out for vampires. But till next time, dear listener, don't open that door.